When I was 4 years old, we lived in a small house on the far north of Russia, right on the shore of the Pacific Ocean. It was very cold there. So cold that even icicles didn't hang from the roofs. And sometimes, so much snow fell that our house was buried under it up to the roof. Then I remembered the story of Baron Munchausen, when he was traveling across a snowy plain, tied his horse to a stick poking out from under the snow, and went to sleep. And when he woke up, he saw that all the snow had melted and his horse was tied to the church's cross. I thought that couldn't be true. But it turned out that indeed so much snow could fall that it was impossible to go outside because the house was completely buried in snow. However, it didn't melt as fast as in Baron Munchausen's story. And to get out of the house, my dad dug a very tall corridor in the snow. It was so tall that it was even higher than my dad. The village where we lived was called Anya. It was a very small village. There wasn't even a kindergarten for me to go to. But my mom and dad had to work. And since I was a big girl, I was already 4 years old, I stayed home alone. Mom told me how to behave. I was a very obedient girl. The main thing my mom told me was that I had to stay home and not unlock the door to the street. All the doors in the village were always locked with a latch, but not because people were afraid of bad people. People in the village were good. It's just that everyone was afraid of bears. Bears sometimes came into the village in search of food. And if someone didn't lock the door with a latch, the bear could open the door and eat the owners of the house. I never went near the front door. There was a kitchen by the front door and a room behind it. My parents slept in the room. And I slept in the kitchen because the kitchen was the warmest place in the house. My bed was right in front of the stove. Every morning my mom put firewood in the stove, and they kept the house warm all day while my parents were at work. I spent my days alone in bed, playing with my big plastic doll. It was the only toy I had, and I liked it very much. Unfortunately, in the cold winter months, the doll was always very cold, and I felt sorry for her because she didn't have a dress or coat like me. I covered her with my blanket, but she was still cold. One day, while playing with the doll, I decided she needed to warm up. Opposite me was the blazing stove. The fire was burning inside, and I thought that if I put the doll on the stove, she would definitely warm up. How could she burn? After all, the fire was hidden inside the stove. And I put the doll on the cast iron surface of the stove. The next moment, the doll burst into bright flames. I screamed and quickly pushed her out of the stove, hoping to save her. The burning doll flew onto my bed and fell on it, rolling over the bed, spreading fire. The doll was empty inside, and the plastic burned very quickly. Within seconds, the doll's belly was completely charred. In panic, I pushed the burning doll back onto the stove, trying to prevent a fire. She flew towards the stove, hit the wall, bounced off it like a ball, and flew back onto the bed, leaving a fiery trail on the sheets, blanket, and pillow. The sheet quickly caught fire, and the fire spread to the mattress. Smoke quickly filled the room, making it difficult to breathe and causing my eyes to water. I dragged the smoky mattress to the floor. It was incredibly heavy. I didn't give up and pulled it with all my might. The smoke made my eyes hurt, and I started coughing uncontrollably. I still managed to pull the mattress to the floor. I dragged it to the front door with my eyes closed, coughing and choking. I was so scared that I forgot about my mom's prohibition to not open the front door. I opened it and, with my last strength, pulled the burning mattress with the remnants of the doll out of the house into the biting cold air. I felt incredible relief breathing in the fresh air, but it lasted only a few seconds because the cold air froze my nose, which instantly went numb, and my fingers froze just as quickly. Desperately wanting to return to the warm stove, but it was impossible to breathe inside the house. I stood at the open front door, letting out a heavy, black cloud of smoke that slowly crept out of the house through the front door, letting in the frost inside. Fortunately, the neighbors saw the smoke. They took me to their house and informed my parents about what happened. In our village, there was not only no kindergarten, but also no fire department. We lived at our own risk. I was very afraid of punishment, but my parents didn't punish me. Instead, they hugged and kissed me, and my mom even bought me a new doll. Do you know why?